Welcome to the Not Subirska's Dad's podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our family, be presents for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. Hope you guys are doing great today. This is part two of an amazing discussion with Anthony. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share. You guys know, like always, I appreciate the support so much. You know, I don't take it for granted. Now, with that being said, Anthony, you know, man, it was crazy because, you know, you was sharing how obviously you got injured, and it was a blessing in disguise, right? Because it helped you to finally really say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start saying no, and you're going to have to be okay with it. And if you're not, well, yeah. Right? So, which is a beautiful thing. But something that came to mind, man, too, when you was talking as well is, because I was thinking, like you said, you and your ex at the time, right? You guys was, like you said, you know, you're into nerdish things, right? And you had your circle. And it made me just think, because I see it often. I even see it with my daughter at times, like she has her certain people, like if she's at a job, like there's certain people she's going to hang out with, like, and just them, right? Or if she's at school, it's just these people, like that's it. Outside of that, right? And so that's what came to mind. And so I was going to ask you, or I don't know if it's asking or saying, maybe both, but so you guys met and you guys are cool, you guys are good friends, you guys are vibing, and you notice certain things, like certain little red flags, like with the family dynamic. But you know, like most men, right, we feel we could fix it. Yeah. Women do it too, of course, but you know, we like, hey man, I really like this girl, this and this. And I guess this is the question. Did you ever account for the toxicness, right, that ran into that situation? Because so many times, like you said, you were younger, she was younger, right? When we're young too, I don't know if it was necessarily you necessarily, but we almost seek drama, right? Yeah. Or attention or something like that. And so in that time, those red flags, because, you know, her mom clearly had some of those things that she needs to work out as well, right? And maybe still have that. To each his own. That's for her to figure out. But like there's certain things right there, and your ex maybe even had some of those traits and she didn't realize it because it was the norm for her, right? Like it was something she was just, I guess, okay with. And so I guess I wanted to ask you, like, those red flags, was it something that, like, even when you had wind of it, was it something you just didn't care at the time? Or was it like, hey, you know what, that's them, but she's not necessarily like this?
So I definitely did see the red flags early. Not so much with her. Like, she was, with me specifically, she was a lot more reserved and calmer. I saw how she was with the rest of our group, yeah. But with me, she was different. And I could kind of see the red flags, like a little bit. But at the time, my last relationship had been like 2 years prior. And that didn't end very well. And at this point, I would have taken any type of attention that came my way. So to have somebody that was interested in me, and I thought was attractive. Like, she was attractive. She was interested in me. She was opposite personality-wise. And I was like, okay, well, you know, opposites attract. She likes me. She's attractive. You know, all of the, you know... For me, it was just kind of like, yeah, she's a firecracker. Yeah, she says she goes a little bit extra. But she wasn't bad. Now, when I started getting to know her and getting to know her family, I was like, I understand. Her dad had passed away a couple of years prior to us meeting. She was always, you know, seeking some type of acceptance from her mom, or they would have a real back and forth relationship. And I'm like, okay, that's understandable, mother-daughter things. I get it. Her mom had a wedding, or her mom was getting remarried and wanted her to be a bridesmaid, and she didn't want to go. And I was like, well, why not? You know, this give you guys a chance to, you know, maybe been, you know, a part of your relationship.
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And she told me, she was like, no, it's always gonna go good, and then she gonna say something, and then we're gonna be back at it again. Like she gave me all the warning signs way ahead of time. We had weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of her pretty much telling me why this is a bad idea, and me being a stubborn family guy was kind of trying to, push it on her, even to the point where she got her mom on the phone and I talked to her mom. Of course, we also had to tell her that, she was, pregnant and everything. But I tried to mend that relationship before I officially met her and everything like that. I was trying to, say, hey, I've got your daughter. Like her and I are gonna be good. We're gonna have, this baby. We're gonna have this relationship. I want you guys to have a relationship too. And if I go and I'm looking at things all these years later, and even a couple of years after, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I probably should have just listened to you when you told me that it wasn't a good idea. Because getting down to, because they were in Orlando,
Yeah.
we did end up going down for the wedding and everything like that. Things were fine. It was my first time meeting them. Everybody's being cordial and everything for the first part, for the most part. But her family wasn't about to change their personality for me. So I very quickly saw where she got her personality from. And I very quickly understood why her and her mom didn't get along. And the guy that her mom was getting married to is very similar to me in terms of he does have an authoritative personality, but he's very calm.
Yeah.
And he, does his best to try to calm things down. I do my best trying to calm things down. Overall, the entire thing is just all toxic. I had not been in a toxic environment at that time. So all of this was new to me, and I'm trying to handle it as best as I possibly can.
Now, why do you think that? Because that's something that I try to even tell my kids now too. Like as far as looking the family, right? Like why do you think we ignore that aspect? Because I feel like that's an important key. That's important to see. Like okay, let me see where your mom or your dad. Like let me see how that is because this is who raised you, right? This is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a key component at times that we don't really take into consideration because, like you said, especially if you're going to be serious. If you're not going to be serious, that's a whole different conversation. But if you're trying to be in a real serious relationship, it's like, I'm going to have to deal with your dad. I'm going to have to deal with your mom. And dang, am I okay with that? On top of that, you might have some of these traits, right? Like, so are you willing to adjust that or acknowledge, certain things? Of course, we all have certain things. Like I'm guilty, y'all. Like I have things I need to work on, right? We all have stuff we got to work on. But do you feel like now, looking back, I guess, right? Looking back at it, like your wife now, right? Was that something you, I guess, had in the back of your mind? Like, okay, let me see your family dynamic beforehand.
So with my ex, it was really kind of like I thought I could handle it, and obviously now I know that I couldn't handle it. But at the time period, I thought that I was mature enough that I could handle it. I could handle dealing with her and the ramification of her dealing with her family and then me dealing with her. I thought that I could handle, all of that. And I couldn't. When I look at my wife now, she has always been herself. She can be a firecracker at times, but she's not like a bad firecracker.
Yeah.
Like she's got a very bold personality. She gets along with a lot of people. She also doesn't like a lot of people. So she'll stay to herself. But getting to meet her family, and her family is a lot more similar to mine, with slightly more, I guess, hoodish tendencies than mine, whereas my ex was just straight hood and nothing like me. And this one was a good blend, but it was different because I'm a city boy and my wife now, her whole family's country. And so that was like our biggest contrast. It was just being someone that's lived in, multi-million populated cities my entire life versus her who lives in a town of less than, I don't know, 5,000 people. And that's probably being generous. Like it takes, where she's from in Florida, it takes you 20 minutes to get to a city. And there's one road to get there and one road to get to where she lives. And it was such a stark contrast because now going over there, I've got spotty internet, and I can see the stars at night because it's just open area. And part of me liked it because it was just like it's so peaceful.
Yeah.
It's so peaceful. There's no chaos. There's no drama. There's regular like small town stuff. And while part of me is like I miss technology, and I miss the hustle and bustle.
Mm.
It was like I can see the stars at night. I can hear the crickets chirping at night. This family takes naps during the day. Like they'll go do something, they come back and take a nap, and I'm like, "What? We just do that? Like we're just okay with everybody just relaxing?" My family is if we're gonna do something, or they know a family's coming into town, we got an itinerary. All right, we're gonna do this at this time. We're gonna do that. We're gonna have breakfast. Then we're gonna go out here. Then we're gonna go there. Then we're gonna go there. Then we're gonna come back, take a small break, and then we're gonna go back out. We're gonna do this, and to be able to be in this family, this new family where we don't really have a schedule. We kind of just go with the flow. Like they have things that they might need to do for the day, but once that's done, it's just kind of free. And it took a while to get used to, but now it's like relaxing.
That's dope.
And seeing the relationship that she has with her family, like, her and her sister would talk every day. Her and her mom would talk every day. I'm pretty sure they're out there talking right now. But it's so interesting to see her and her family, and then look at me and my family, and then look at the family that I just had to deal with for so long.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how they're all so different. And her family loves me. Her mom loves me. Her dad loves me. Like they take care of me as if I'm their child.
That's dope.
And even within my own family, I don't think that I have felt as loved as I do with them. And I haven't been perfect in this relationship. I've caused a whole lot of mess and drama, and dealing with the drama of my past, and then that blending into my relationship now. And there's just so much. There was so much chaos that was caused by me that, again, I thought I could handle, but things ended up getting far worse than I could have ever imagined. And working through that part of my relationship, trying to keep, my relationship strong, because I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to lose that love, that actual unconditional love, that actual unconditional support. Well, at the same time, how do I have this and maintain whatever type of relationship that I have with my kids?
That's what I was gonna ask you, as far as, because are the kids still living with their grandmother?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes it very difficult from what you told me, as far as, because she doesn't like you, right? And that toxic rightness can kick in. So at the end of the day, too, you don't know what she's telling them about you, or what your ex is telling them about you, right? And so how do you deal with that, bro? Like I'm just thinking about the hurt, and as a father, right? Like not being able to probably communicate or see your kids. I don't know if you see them that much or see them at all, right? Like how do you kind of process and heal with that? Because that it's almost like a wound that can't ever like fully heal, because you're not whole. At least for me, I'm sure you probably feel the same, right? When you're not with your kids, it's like there's a part missing, right? So like, how do you handle that, bro?
Honestly, it's one day at a time, because for me now, we're in 2026 now, so it's been about a year and a half since the last time I actually got to have a conversation with my kids. Like any type of communication at all. Every now and then I'll get sent like via email some pictures of like them just growing up over time. But me not having that relationship with my kids now is really hard to deal with. And I almost try not to think about it. I try to think about what the judge told me when I was first losing custody of them. And it was, if you want to go back and get partial custody of them, or if you want to go back and have this relationship with them, you have to be stable. For the longest, and by stable, he meant like I had to have a good job. I had to have, car, an apartment, or a house, or whatever it is. I have to, if they decide to give me like visitation rights or something like that, I have to be able to present that I have this extra room or these extra resources to be able to take care of myself and them when that time comes. So now it's been trying to focus on me and bettering myself, but now there are a lot more things just in the world that trigger me that I don't really talk about to anybody.
Yeah.
Or at least unless it gets really, really bad.
Yeah.
I have moments where I will, whether it's on TV or just out on the streets, if I see something that has to do with kids and their parents, whether they're having fun with their parents or something's going wrong, I might see something in an episode of I don't know what show, and something might have happened between a kid and their parent, and something might be going wrong. The kid might be in the hospital. Parent might be panicking, and or somebody's kid has passed away, or somebody or they could be having time in their life like at a park or something like that, and it'll trigger me because these are the things that I only had for a couple of years, and then it got taken away from me. These are the things that, as a father, these are the things that I always wanted, and I'm missing all of these moments. So there are parts of me where I'm really happy to see that all of these kids are living their lives. I know deep down that my kids have a good and a stable life in the household that they're in, but I'm not there to be a part of that. And it bothers me because I feel like there more can be done. So I'm dealing with I don't like to call it PTSD, but it's kind of pretty much what it is or what I think it feels like. Because that stuff to this day, like it still bothers me. I can still get teary eyed, or I can still,
Yeah, of course.
feel like I want to be in that, or I wish I had that.
So
And
how do you make sure that you don't? Because I don't know if you've seen it before, but I've seen it where the mother will or I don't even know, I can't even necessarily, I guess, say it's your ex necessarily that's doing it, but whatever the situation, the mother or whatever, or family members, because family members get involved too, stop you from seeing your kids. How do you go from not one being bitter and then two just being, because I've seen it where they'll be like, well, bump it then at the end of the day, like it's like I don't have kids then, like y'all handle it, right? Like I'm going to start a whole nother family, or I'm going to focus on just my family here now instead of that. Like how do you I guess make sure you don't get in that mindset? Because to me, I don't know, that's I like just hearing your story, right? And I'm like, dang, okay, in your situation, I could understand you feeling that way. Not saying you should, but I can understand you feeling that way. And then the other thing is like, can you go to court and try to, is there a way you can go to court to try to get custody of your kids? Or, be to see them more, visitations, whatever.
so to answer the first question, I do get bitter sometimes. One thing that I am glad that they do is they keep my kids off social media, which was something that I was like, unless it was, a specific thing or whatever it is, I was very much the type that I was just like, I didn't want my kids out there like that. So I'm glad that that is something that is also part of their mindset as well, is to, keep the kids off of social media. But I do know, like, there is, some bitterness and some resentment that I feel like it's probably always going to be there. Until it gets to a point where I can have that relationship again. As far as the second part of that question, how do I go about it? I tried the mindset of, okay, well, they're over there. I'm just going to try and start a whole new family. That didn't work out very well. That was a path that I feel like I probably should not have attempted to try to take. I would say I just wasn't in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
And I played cards that I should not have played. And so that was another, thing for me where it's just like, okay, well, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to focus on my life, my relationship, whatever. And the goal long term is get to a point where I can go up to a judge and be like, hey, I did what you said. I got my life together. I'm ready for that point. Because I can go back. I can go back and I can make those requests. It's just now for me a matter of, do I feel like I'm ready to take that next step? Or is there more for me that I think has to be done to where when I do take that step, it's undoubted, like they have, no doubt in their mind that I am ready for that part and I'm ready for, the visitations or, fighting for some type of custody or something like that. So a lot of it for me right now is really trying to push myself to be a better person for me, to be a better person for my wife, for us to be in this position to where by such and such time, these are the moves that I want to make to get back to them. If and when I get back to that point, trying to rebuild that relationship because it's been so long now, it's almost not even going to be like a rebuilding. It's going to be like just building it completely, starting with a whole new foundation and everything. How do I approach that? I'm not going to push my kids into doing something that they don't want to do either. So if I get to that point and they're like, no, do I try to prepare myself for that now? Or do I just, take it as it comes if it happens? Because I'll feel like if they want to know more, then they'll do it on their time. Like they know, they've probably heard from their mom and their grandparents and everything like that. But if they want to know my side of things, I'm here when they're ready for that.
Now, I will give a little pushback on that, just more so encouragement. Just because I remember the situation with my dad, I remember he would tell me, his side of the story, and he's never told me his side of the story. Now we're doing better because he's made the effort, but I wish he did, or I wish I was able, I remember I told one of my friends, his situation is kind of similar to yours, but I told him, hey, when it's time, you want to be to say, look at all these documents, look at how I was fighting, right? Because at the end of the day, I told him, it don't matter what anyone else says. If you can prove, oh, your dad never wanted to see you, what's all this then, right? All this time I was fighting for you. So I would just encourage you when you can have that, will they listen? No, they probably won't try to listen like that. And that's okay because you got to remember, they're kids, right? They're kids. And so if for a long time, if you, as a kid, for let's say the first, I don't know how old your kids is, but 10, 12 years of their life or 10, 12 years of your life, they say, hey, if you eat broccoli, your breath's going to stink. Right? And you're just thinking, okay, shoot. And then at 13, they're like, no, broccoli's actually good for you. You're like, heck no. No, I've been told it's going to make my breath stink. Right? And you might think that for a long time until someone's telling you, no, bro, broccoli's good for you. Oh, okay, right? So just understanding that, too, is now, I'm not saying you just give them everything. Hey, I'm about to just throw all of it at you, right? But just as far as, hey, no, your dad was thinking about you every day, let me show you, look, I have every picture that they gave me. Look, I was going to court. Look, these are the phone records. I printed these out just so you guys could see one day. It's no, your dad never stopped thinking about you. Your dad never. And now what it's going to do as they get, even again, if they can't process it right away, as they get older, now they're questioning, hey, hold on, mom or grandma or whoever, this is what you guys was telling me. This is the side of the story you told me. You never told me, okay, my dad actually hit, you in the stomach a little bit and everything was left, and you didn't tell me that we almost got in a car accident, right? None of those things, right? So once they're oh shoot, okay, dad was really trying. So I guess that's what I wanted to encourage you with that, bro, is just, yes, obviously, when they're ready to hear it, but at the same time, if you have the opportunity to be around them and things like that, because you never know. What if it's one of those situations, you are finally able to be around them, but only for a shortened time because, which I've seen that happen too, the mother or whoever's in that family is trying to poison their mind with certain stuff, right? And so now they can see you, but they don't want to see you because, oh, no, oh, my dad don't care. Really? He don't? Okay. Right? And it's like, no. Hey, that's why I made sure. Remember what I said. Or they might remember what you said. Like, wait, dad said he's always tried and he just wasn't able to get in contact with us. Now all of a sudden they're saying that he doesn't want to call. That doesn't sound like my dad. That make you know what I mean? Now they're thinking. You know what I mean? So just to encourage you with that, man, because it's gonna go a long way. Um, and it sucks. I hate when fathers have to deal with this stuff. Because it's one of those things now you have to really play the long term game, right? You have to play a long term game where it's like, hey, okay, you think you're winning this race right now, that's perfectly fine, but it's a marathon, right? So even if it's one of those things, it's rocky all the way till they're 20, but then from 20 all the way to their to the day you pass away, right? They have an amazing relationship with you because they was able to understand the truth. They was able to understand, oh, this wasn't what it was like for so long. And then again with the mother, or I know fathers do this too, so I'm not trying to necessarily just pick on mothers, but from a lot of times, obviously, because the mothers get custody of it, right? But I've seen it happen where their kids end up having resentment towards their mom.
Yeah.
Because it's like, for so long, you robbed me of this. You robbed me of a chance to have a relationship with my dad because of your own personal issues, right? Like, okay, maybe my dad wasn't the best spouse for you, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a good father. And somehow the lines got blurred, right? So I just wanted to encourage you with that, man, because I can only imagine not being able to see my kids, man, that could be tough. And so the fact that you've been holding it down, man, just continuing bettering yourself and trying to figure out what's the best route you can go to, be to see your kids more, man. I'm rooting for you, bro, for sure, 100%, man.
I appreciate it. It's been a real long journey. This upcoming May would make 10 years. 10 years since I would have officially lost custody of them. So, and honestly, I'm very big on dates, milestones, stuff like that. So once I hit these certain milestones, okay, my oldest turned 10, or my daughter turned 10, my youngest is turning 9 this year. Like, there are a lot of, all these different milestones that I know I'm missing, and then there's a lot of the anniversaries of, well, this happened on this day, and then this happened on that day. So it's just kind of like, some of these days are harder to process than others. I try to look at them now with, these days do not always have to be bad days. I'm working towards a better future because of everything that happened in my past.
I like that, bro. So I want to ask you just two more questions, man, and I'll get you out of here. But my first question is, this I guess I look at it like this is not superheroes because dad type of moment right now, but there's a father out there that's watching or listening right now who hasn't seen their kids in a months, maybe years, right? What do you how should I put this? What do you want him to hear, or what could you say to encourage him? Like, what would you tell that man about staying ready to be that father, right? When it's time, even when it feels like at time is being blocked or is being prevented. Like, how do you keep your heart open when that situation seems so difficult?
Stay humble, because it's easy to put the blame on somebody else. It's easy to say that this went wrong because of this reason or because of that reason. And ultimately, I've come to realize that the reason doesn't necessarily matter. What happened, and it's how you move on. And if your goal is to get back to that relationship, whether it's to repair it or to create a new relationship, if that's your goal, do what you have to do to better yourself as you aim towards that goal. And I thought that I could just jump right to it without improving on myself. And I crashed and I burned. And it took me a lot of self-reflection and a lot of help from other people, pointing me in the right direction of, you need to work on you and really push yourself. Like, yes, you're working on you to better yourself, but you're working on you so that you can go and have this relationship. You can put yourself in a position to where you trying for this goal, you trying for your kids cannot be denied by anybody. Cannot be denied by them, cannot be denied by whatever or whoever it is that is keeping you away from them. Everybody will be able to see the effort that you put in to reach your goal, and you will get to your goal. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes, and it's probably going to take a long time, but keep pushing because you will get there.
So, I guess to close it out, man, like when your kids are old enough, right? Either from them hearing your story, or shoot, they might, right now this is gonna be on YouTube, right? They might be able to go on YouTube. Heck, they might stumble upon it one day, right? Like, wait, hold on, ain't that my dad's name, right? So, but I wanted to ask you, man, like, when your kids are old enough, what do you hope they understand about your fight for them, and what does being a father look like to you, even in separation?
I want them to be able to see that you can't take shortcuts. I want them to be able to see that life is not going to always go your way. But you can't take shortcuts. Just because you think you know the answer, or you think you know the fastest way to reach a certain goal, doesn't mean it's the right way to get there. So it's just I would want them to know that I was vigilant. I tried to jump the gun, and I realized that I was going down the wrong path. My goal was the same, but I was taking the wrong way to get there. And I realize now that I need to take these steps, because these steps will help me get to them safer, faster, better, and help me maintain my relationship with them. And when I do get to them, I want them to see me as someone that, even though they didn't know me, or they know me when they were really, really young, I want them to be able to see that I've grown. I want them to see me as as a father figure, when that time comes. Like, when we reconnect, I want them to see that, like, I'm immediately jumping, into that role. And I'm not trying to replace anybody that's, filled that spot, in my absence, but I'm here. And I'm always going to be here. And that's kind of like, if they, like, when they need me, if they need me, I'm just as here as I was before everything happened, and I will be here, going forward.
I like that, bro. I wanted to say to you, because I always try to make sure I give the guests their flowers, man. So one, I just wanted to say they're for sure going to need you. Regardless of what people are saying or what they think or whatever, they're going to need you. Kids need their father just like they need their mother. And I wanted to also just highlight you and celebrate you, man, for, not giving up and being positive and continuing to fight when it could be easy to quit, right? Like you shared, on part one, you shared, how you thought about, hey, I don't know if I should be here, right? And with everything going on, it's so easy for the enemy to trick you, to be like, man, yeah, just get out of here, man, forget it, And so, like I told you earlier, and I think you said you heard it before, definitely your story definitely needs a book or something, because there's so much more that I'm sure we could have tapped into. Man, just keep being the person you are, man, and continue to fight, man. Continue to fight for your kids, no matter what people are saying, no matter what they think. Just keep doing what your part is, because at the end of the day, you want to say that you did everything you could do for them, and then you want to be able to look in your kids' eyes and tell them, hey, I did everything I could, and I couldn't get you as much as I could, or whatever the situation, right? But I'm definitely praying that, and I will be praying that, this situation gets solved, man. I would love for you to hit me up and be like, man, bro, yeah, I'm able to see them, man, and and it's a beautiful thing. So again, bro, I appreciate you just coming on here, sharing your story. When you didn't have to, and I know this is going to bless somebody for sure. And yeah, bro, again, I appreciate your time, man, and appreciate you, and at the end of the day, I know you haven't been able to see your kids as much as you want to, but when you guys are able to reconnect, they're going to realize that they have an amazing father, man. And so, that's a dope thing, and I'm praying for that day to be sooner rather than later.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me here. I don't really get to talk about my story very often, so it's been healing for me to really just be able to kind of like get it all out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, was still kind of like summarizations and everything, but it was still, for me, I needed it because it's something that I don't really talk about.
Yeah.
And to be able to just like freely talk about it without feeling like I'm being judged by anybody, this for me was a big step because I didn't really know how to approach it coming into it. And I feel a lot more relieved now that I've been able to kind of like just tell my story to somebody who would, who sees me, who's, listening to, like, who hears what I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Nah, man. It's definitely, like I said, I don't take it for granted, man. I always look at it like at the end of the day, this is why I created this. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, man. It's just for us to create a healthy space and know, man, like, as fathers, we're out here constantly fighting for our kids, in different ways, man. And so, again, man, I salute you and I appreciate you for sure. But yeah, guys, like always, right? You don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.